peregrine falcon folds its wings and drops off the wind-lashed cliffs of Pembrokeshire, Wales, so fast the human eye can barely keep up. Off the coast of Mexico, a sailfish tears through blue water. While on the Serengeti, an ostrich explodes forward like a motorbike and a leopard bursts out of the grass. In that split second between life and death, where would you place your bet? On the dive from the sky, the streak underwater, or the lunge from the shadows? Across the sky, the open ocean, and the grasslands, the question sounds simple: which animal is the fastest? Look closer, and speed is no longer just a number on a chart, but the way each body is shaped to survive in its own world. Over the cold, windy coast of Pembrokeshire in Wales, a peregrine falcon hangs on a stream of air along the cliff face, eyes scanning flocks of birds below. The moment it picks a target, its body switches mode. Wings fold tight to its sides, head tilts down, and the whole bird drops like a stone-tipped arrow. Its dive can push past 300 kilometers per hour, so fast the human eye only catches a blur before the prey crumples in midair. To survive that kind of speed, the falcon isn't just trying harder, its body is built for it. Inside each nostril sits a small flap of tissue that breaks up the incoming air so it doesn't slam straight into the lungs. Across the eye, a clear protective membrane slides across like a see-through visor, closing during the dive to shield the eye without losing focus. A broad chest and thick breastbone anchor powerful flight muscles, letting the bird pull up and climb again almost immediately after the strike. Once, peregrines nested only on sea cliffs and mountain ledges. Today, they've moved into skyscrapers in cities like New York, London, and Singapore. Glass and concrete towers have become new cliffs, and city pigeons turned into perfect prey. A dive from the edge of a rooftop follows the same script as on the Welsh coast: a single fold of the wings, a silent drop, and a life or death moment that lasts less than a second. From the sky, we flip down into blue water off the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. Beneath the glittering surface, small fish pull together into a tight silver ball, each one trying to hide inside the crowd. Circling the edge is a sailfish, its body long and lean, upper jaw stretched into a sharp sword, and a tall fin folded along its back. When it attacks, the sailfish usually tucks that sail flat against its body, then lashes its tail to burst forward. For a few seconds, it can reach about 100 kilometers per hour underwater. It doesn't charge straight through the middle of the school. Instead, several sailfish take turns slicing past the edge, suddenly raising their sails to herd the fish tighter, then flicking their bills sideways to stun a few individuals and knock them out of the group. Along the length of its body runs the lateral line, a row of tiny sensory pores that let it hear minute vibrations in the water and predict which way the school will turn, even in dim light. Some studies suggest that muscles near the sailfish's eyes and brain can generate heat, keeping the head slightly warmer than the surrounding water. That helps its eyes and nervous system react instantly in the cooler depths. Slow the hunting scene down, frame by frame, and every tail beat and turn has a purpose: push, split, isolate, finish the prey in the shortest possible time. The surface flattens, wave noise fades, and we move to the dry wind of the Serengeti Plains in northern Tanzania. On a carpet of yellow grass, an adult African ostrich walks in long strides, its neck stretching up almost as high as the roof of a safari jeep. It cannot fly, but its legs turn the grassland into a racetrack. At a glance, an ostrich's legs look skinny, but they are a running machine. Each foot has only 2 toes, with the larger one taking nearly all the weight. When the bird accelerates, its long tendons work like springs. Every footfall stores energy, then releases it as the leg pushes off. Its speed can reach around 60 to 70 kilometers per hour and stay there for a surprisingly long distance. On the horizon, a lioness breaks into a run, tail whipping from side to side to keep her balance. The chase becomes a test of speed and heat tolerance. The lion explodes forward in the first stretch, but quickly overheats under the Serengeti sun and has to pant hard to cool down. The ostrich, with its bare neck, exposed skin, and small wings spread like 2 fans, can dump heat more easily. Huge eyes give it a wide field of view, so it can keep the predator in sight even while sprinting in a gentle curve away. Many of these all-out sprints serve one purpose: drawing a hunter away from a shallow scrape in the sand where the eggs are hidden. Each egg weighs more than a kilogram. The shell is thick, but still fragile against claws and teeth. In a world full of jaws, the parent's speed becomes the first layer of defense for the next generation. As the Serengeti light fades, it gives way to patchy shade in Masai Mara, Kenya. Beside a dry stream bed, a leopard lies low in a thicket, only its eyes moving. It doesn't hold the land speed record like the cheetah, but it is a master of close-range attacks. Its coat, patterned with rosettes, makes the leopard almost disappear among dry grass and tree trunks. It waits near a familiar game trail used by impalas. When the herd steps into a clearing, the cat closes the distance a little at a time. At the right moment, it springs up, surges forward for just a few seconds, hooks a hind leg to trip its target, then clamps its jaws around the throat. Right after the kill, the leopard starts dragging the carcass up a tree. Some individuals can haul prey nearly half their own body weight up to branches 10 meters above the ground. Up there, they are safer from hyenas, lions, and other thieves. In the leopard's world, climbing fast can matter just as much as sprinting. Line these 4 animals side by side: the peregrine falcon on the cliffs of Wales, the sailfish off Yucatan, the ostrich on the Serengeti plains, and the leopard in the woodlands of Masai Mara. And fastest suddenly has many meanings. In the sky, it's a vertical dive that turns gravity into a weapon. In the sea, it's a short burst in heavy water. On the plains, it's a long stride under fierce sun. In the shadows, it's a brief rush followed by a swift climb into the branches. Out there, this race has no scoreboard and no gold medal for the winner. It's just bodies honed over millions of years, trying to be just fast enough to live one more day. For us, watching these moments, the real question may not be, who is the fastest? But this: if you had one chance to witness true wild speed with your own eyes, where would you stand? On a wind-beaten cliff? On the rail of a boat above blue water? Or in the dust and brush of the African savannah? In the wide Hayden Valley of Yellowstone, the morning sun glints on silver-gray fur. A grizzly bear lowers its head, sniffing the wind, claws dragging across the soil. It's following the scent of a carcass, more than a mile away. This is not just brute force. The grizzly's sense of smell is 7 times sharper than a bloodhound's. It remembers rivers, seasons, and trails as if the land itself lives in its mind. A half-ton beast, yet precise, patient, and almost calculating. How can something built for raw power move with such quiet intelligence? A giant footprint sinks deep into the wet mud. Rainwater pools inside the impression, silent proof that something powerful just passed. At the edge of Yellowstone Valley, thunder rumbles in the distance. A shadow moves through the mist, each step weighing half a ton, yet silent as drifting wind. The grizzly bear, a creature that doesn't need to chase to inspire fear. It pauses by the riverbank, breath steaming in the cold air. The surface stills, then explodes. One swing of its claw, precise, explosive, turns the water white. A single strike forged by millions of years of evolution. The grizzly is the living emblem of North America's wilderness. From Montana to Alaska, it reigns over forests and valleys. When the winter snow melts, they emerge from their dens after months of hibernation, half-starved but alive. Their hunt begins again, scavenging deer carcasses, digging for roots, stealing honey, and fishing salmon from icy streams. With a nose 7 times more sensitive than a bloodhound's, a grizzly can smell death from over 2 kilometers away, a biological radar built for survival. Beneath that thick fur and lumbering gait lies an engineered machine of strength, 4 arms so powerful they can overturn boulders. When it stands upright, a male can reach nearly 3 meters tall. Yet most of its life isn't spent killing. 80% of its diet is plant-based: grass, roots, berries, ants, honey. The forest feeds the beast, and the beast keeps the forest alive. Power and gentleness coexist in a single heartbeat. Summer floods the Lamar River. Salmon surge upstream, silver flashes breaking the current. A grizzly waits in silence, its eyes fixed on the water. Then movement. A single strike sends spray flying like shards of glass. Beside her, two cubs watch every move, learning how to hunt and how to fail. Knowledge here isn't taught with words, it's inherited through instinct, through patience, through survival. As autumn arrives, the blueberry slopes of Alaska turn purple. The bears feast endlessly, 30,000 calories a day. Their bodies swell with fat, a fortress against the winter ahead. In hidden dens, they enter a deep sleep. Heartbeats slowing to 8 per minute, body temperature falling close to 30 degrees Celsius. Scientists still marvel at how these creatures avoid muscle loss and bone decay for months. A biological secret that might one day change human medicine. Then spring returns, and with it, violence. Two males face off on the open plain. Their roars echo through the valley, muscles rippling, dust rising. When they clash, the sound is thunder itself. A single swipe could shatter bone, yet most battles end without death. In the wild, true dominance means knowing when to stop. At dusk, a mother grizzly leads her cubs along a quiet stream. The water mirrors the fading Sunday. Each step is measured, calm, deliberate. Nature's way of teaching patience: move slow, live long, strike only when needed. Night settles over Yellowstone. Mist gathers. Under the moonlight, the giant stands motionless, the wilderness made flesh, powerful, solitary, eternal. The grizzly's fatal swipe isn't just the strike of a hunter. It's nature's heartbeat, a reminder that survival itself is the purest form of strength. Saltwater crocodile. Salt glands arm it for the open coast. Nile crocodile. Pressure-sensing pits ring its jaws, reading the faintest ripple on Kenya's Mara River. Conical teeth to pierce and hold. A skull like armor, jaw adductors coiled like a spring. From Adelaide River, Northern Territory, to the banks of the Mara, whose design delivers the hardest bite on Earth. Dawn on the Adelaide River, Northern Territory, Australia. A thin skin of mist over mangrove roots. The water lies flat. A dark log drifts along the mud edge, only the eyes above the surface watching the cattle track. Far off, gulls rasp. Tide is rising. The saltwater crocodile settles exactly on the lip between shallow and deep, throat sealed by a palatal valve so it can open its mouth underwater without choking. Mud dusts the snout, but the jawline is studded with tiny pressure-sensing pits that read the faintest ripple, a footfall no wider than a breath. Stillness, but strung tight like a bow held at full draw. Salt glands in the tongue help it tolerate brine, letting it range from the river mouth to the surf without losing water. Wind shifts. The air tastes of mud and salt. Breathing slows. Peaceful frame, loaded lines. Across the continent, the sun already rides high over the Mara River in Masai Mara, Kenya. The sandbank is carved with zebra and antelope tracks. Beneath the brown surface, driftwood backs hold formation in a steady eddy. Nile crocodiles float with bellies up, jaws slightly open to dump heat. No sound. Dry wind brushes the grass, dust lifts, a zebra herd ghosts the bank. Rhythm here is migration, not tide. Each season, tens of thousands must cross. Underneath, jaw adductors wrap the skull like bundled rope. Conical teeth stand even and hard. Two far-flung scenes share the same heavy silence. Water smooths the bank. A single leaf spins. Minutes pass. Nothing moves, which only sharpens everything else. A stronger gust rakes the mangroves at Adelaide. Ripples break the glaze. A young feral pig steps down, licking a salt line on rock. The saltwater crocodile drives its tail in a hard crescent and launches, then drops like a spear. The wide head locks just behind the shoulder. The snap sounds dense and slick, like iron shutting. Mud and spray explode. It doesn't chew, it holds, then spins a death roll to tear and ruin balance. In a large individual, bite force can reach about 16,000 newtons for a flashing instant. But the real killers are angle and contact. The palatal valve closes. The animal drags its prey over the drop-off. Mud smears fly free, showing the dark slate of the scales. On the bank, a long slide mark inks the scene. On the Mara, the chatter of birds drowns under hoofbeats. The zebra surge down, water plates into white discs of foam. A huge Nile crocodile bursts from bank shadow and hooks the last zebra at the flank. Another clamps a leg. The whole mass tilts, like a tree bent by wind. They don't need to crush. They only need to hold and turn. Others slide aside to give the hunters space in the brown churn. In that chaos, those pressure pits along the jaws read escape lanes through micro ripples tactile vision. Big adults often deliver 13 to 14,000 newtons. When several animals latch on, the combined pull is worse than numbers on paper. Current rips hooves loose, deep mud sucks. All the advantages of land vanish when a body is half floating, half stuck. A brief rain squall darkens Adelaide's water. The saltwater crocodile has already hauled the kill into a tight eddy, where a fallen trunk makes cover. One more roll, the slab tears free and goes down. Inside the stomach, small stones and grit help stabilize and grind. The crocodile tilts its muzzle, then hides the rest beneath the log for the next tide to clean. Energy must pay back the days of waiting on near zero burn. As a cold-blooded hunter, it shifts speed with sun and wind, spending only when payoff is clear. On the Mara, shouting thins into ragged breathing. The zebra sinks. The crocodile opens just enough to change grip without flooding its throat. The valve does the work, then closes and levers again. New arrivals take what's left. There's no law of equal shares, only opportunity. When the herd pulls away, the river calms. Brown circles unwind and disappear. On the sand, a few white-black hairs and bands of foam. The hunt ends as it began, inside a patch of opaque water. Evening draws in over the top end. Egrets return. Frogs click. A saltwater crocodile drags up to bask, warming the gut for digestion. Now the head shows clearly, a broad, heavy wedge of skull that gives strong leverage to closing muscles. A broken tooth will be replaced by one already growing beneath. The arsenal refreshes all life long. Pale scars stripe the back territory disputes, especially on the spring tides. Nests are mounded high with dry grass and leaves. Temperature inside decides sex in the hatchlings. Hot years can skew the balance. Biologists watch that curve closely. Night on Masai Mara. Moonlight drifts the surface, silvering the backs of crocodiles that lie like statues. Far away, antelope call each other low, urgent. A ranger's light slides the bank, freezes on pairs of eyes. Rest hours, but not safety. Crocodiles also contest access to the best bends, where fallen trees carve suction and prey funnels. Next morning, the bay near Darwin is calm. On the fisherman's radio, saltwater crocodiles out beyond the surf line, riding tide corridors, sometimes crossing narrow island channels. Tolerance for salinity opens the menu from mangrove creeks to the shore break, even sea turtles or small sharks when chance aligns. Downstream on the Mara, in slower, clearer water, the pattern flips. A big Nile crocodile ignores small fish and holds the ambush slot for the migration. Every choice runs on energy math, intake versus spend. Miss once and you may go hungry for days. The winner at Adelaide is the saltwater crocodile. Short, decisive bite, heavy force, clean angle. The winners on the Mara are several Nile crocodiles working a moment when current wrecks all footing. If you frame it as a record among living animals, the crown for peak bite force measured so far rests with the saltwater crocodile, with giant individuals posting very high numbers. The Nile crocodile sits just behind, and in the wild, a massive Nile can outrank a smaller salty in the only metric that matters that day: size in the moment. Numbers give us a summit. The field gives us context, body size, bite angle, rock or mud, salinity, even wind. Night wind skims the Adelaide shallows back to glass. On the Mara, dust lifts again, another crossing coming. Two worlds, one hunting blueprint, paired by deep time. In that opaque water, what truly calls life or death, before the jaws shut the bite record on a graph, or the half-second of perfect timing the eye can't catch. On a low rise along the Rio Grande Valley in New Mexico, a roadrunner flares the dark patch on its back to drink the first light, then launches on legs, not wings. X-shaped footprints stitch the sand. The menu runs to scorpions, centipedes, rattlesnakes. How does a small, ground-running bird rule a landscape built on venom, and what timing lets it slip past hollow fangs in a single breath? settles over North America's dry belt, the Sonoran Fringe, reaching toward the Rio Grande Valley and the edges of the Chihuahuan Desert. The chill of night lifts. A roadrunner stands on the sandy lip of a dry wash, flaring the dark patch on its back to drink the first light. A light breeze threads the creosote bushes. Insects murmur under mesquite. Short steps begin, the long tail working like a rudder, a neat line of X-shaped tracks stitched into the sand. It looks calm, but every crack in the gravel stirs with life. A whiptail lizard, a desert scorpion, a red centipede, even a rattlesnake warming beneath a sunlit rock. Here, morning is goldy before the heat, and other hunters wake. Biologically, the roadrunner uses sunbathing as a charger. After nightfall, it lets body temperature drop a few degrees to save energy. The first light brings it back to operating speed without burning precious calories. Zygodactyl feet 2 toes forward, 2 back bite into loose ground, and those X tracks make pursuit harder by hiding direction. The light climbs, heat shimmer begins to curl over the stones. The roadrunner hunts by sea, burst, finish. A lizard flashes. The neck tucks for half a beat, then the bird snaps forward, the beak striking clean as a finger snap. A quick swallow, and it runs on. At the edge of an ocotillo clump, a scorpion lifts its tail through leaf litter. A flick of the eye. The bird changes angle to cut it off, drives the bill into the last segment where the sting sits, then slams the prey against the sand a few times to neutralize before swallowing. Along the thicket's rim, a dry rattle lights up. The snake is close. The roadrunner shortens stride, drops a shoulder, slides left as if testing a brake line. Between barbed chawla, it holds distance and waits for a scene. In hard numbers, a rattlesnake strike lasts under 1/10 of a second. Venom needs time to diffuse through tissue. The roadrunner's answer is to shrink contact time toward 0. Hit a vital point. Exit immediately. Give the toxin no window to work. By noon, the ground glows, wind combs sand into thin streamers. At the edge of a dry wash near the Gila River, a western diamondback shows itself, body coiled, head lifted. The rattle beats like dry rain. The roadrunner circles wide, tail flicking to stabilize, eyes pinned to the neck. It feints right, cuts across the left shoulder. The snake bites air. The bird pivots, makes a short hop, clamps the bill just behind the skull and is gone before the coil can close. Sand sprays. The tail kicks like a spring, the body spins around the pinned foot. Third pass. Fourth. Each beat like a jump cut. Approach. Land. Break contact. When the snake surges forward, the bird pops onto a low rock, turns 90 degrees, drops back to gravel and goes for the nape again. Slaps of hide on stone ring out. After several rounds, the snake's muscles lose tone, the black tongue withdraws. The bird lines the head for a clean swallow. If the snake is too large, it tears sections and ferries them to a thorny hide. Danger crosses the scene in a separate thread, soft footfalls of a coyote on the slope. The roadrunner hugs the chala's shade, sprints, carves through a narrow slot, spine snag fur but slide off feathers. The threat fades, and the duel resumes. Field notes show that roadrunners sometimes work in pairs on a snake. One distracts, the other strikes the weak point, but most finishes are solo, built on speed, angle, and the habit of hit and clear. Physiology helps. A nictitating membrane flashes to guard the cornea from spines and flying grit. The long tail acts as a stabilizer, letting the bird change direction almost instantly without losing drive. Water is scarce, so most intake comes from prey. Salt glands near the nares crystallize the excess, keeping the balance right. The sun tilts honey-colored, heat drains from the ground. The rattlesnake lies still at the gravel's edge, beaten by timing and speed. The roadrunner shakes dust from its plumage and listens. The wind shifts. Far off, a low call from another bird on the rim of the Rio Grande marks a boundary. It picks the last scraps, slips across the open to safer thorn. With dusk going violet, the bird hops to a low perch to roost. Metabolism eases. Body temperature dips again to save tomorrow's fuel. Below, the mirage fades, but fresh X tracks remain on the sand like hurried questions. The desert passes no verdict, it sets terms. If, on some day, speed drags for half a beat and venom gains half a second to spread, does the balance tip or does perfect timing still keep the roadrunner on the safe side of the line? The waters of the Amazon lie still, like a mirror. Suddenly, a faint ripple breaks the silence, then vanishes. Two round eyes emerge from the hyacinths, cold, unmoving. In that moment, the rainforest holds its breath. Not a stone, not a branch, but an anaconda, the dark giant of the swamps. It waits. One mistake from its prey, and the river will explode. Who will survive when this giant strikes? In the Orinoco Basin, on the border of Venezuela and Colombia, the first light of day spreads across brown-red waters. A peaceful scene unfolds. Catfish stir below, kingfishers dive like arrows. Howler monkeys call from the treetops. Yet beneath the surface, the green anaconda, the largest snake on Earth, remains motionless. Some reach 8 meters, weighing over 200 kilos. Their dark green scales, mottled with black, render them almost invisible. In rivers, marshes, and flooded forests, stillness is the ultimate weapon. They sense every shift in the water. The faint stir of a flock of whistling ducks, the splash of a peccary at the shore, nothing escapes. Anacondas don't need to hunt daily. One great meal can sustain them for weeks, even months. That is why each ambush is a razor's edge between success and starvation. Night descends. Moonlight drapes the Orinoco in silver. The snake begins to glide out from the reeds, soundless, immense. Its body coils through the dark. Then prey appears. A capybara, the world's largest rodent, steps down to drink. Ears twitch, eyes scan, muscles tense. Yet water is both sanctuary and trap. In a flash, the river erupts. The anaconda lunges, coils clamping around the capybara. The squeeze crushes its chest, stealing every breath. No venom, no fatal bite, only raw muscle. Each frantic struggle tightens the grip. Within minutes, the fight is over. In slow motion, the snake's eyes remain calm, its body relentless. Once still, the feast begins. Its jaws unhinge, stretching wide, swallowing a body larger than its own head. The process lasts hours, but this is what evolution designed it for. Yet in the Amazon, no hunt is guaranteed. Even giants face danger. In Brazil's Pantanal wetlands, another predator lurks. The black caiman. Reaching 7 meters, armed with jaws of bone-crushing power, it can challenge the anaconda itself. As the snake constricts its prey, A surge of water announces the caiman's arrival. The river churns into chaos. Two titans collide beneath the murk. The caiman snaps, searching for a grip. The anaconda coils tighter, refusing to surrender its kill. A brutal contest of power. The caiman has bite force unmatched, but the snake has flexibility in water's embrace. Minutes drag. Finally, the caiman releases, sinking back into the depths. The anaconda, still wrapped around the capybara, slips away into deeper, safer waters. Dawn returns to the Orinoco. The sky glows with amber and rose. Beneath the hyacinths, the anaconda lies still, body swollen with its hard-won prize. For weeks, it will not move, locked in slow digestion. Around it, the forest continues. The cries of monkeys, the wings of parrots, the distant bellow of caimans. Yet somewhere in the brown current, a massive shape stirs again. With muscle forged by evolution, with camouflage perfected by shadow, the green anaconda embodies survival. But in this Amazon world where jaguars, caimans, and piranhas also reign, can it truly be the undisputed master? That question lingers, like the endless whisper of the rainforest, long after the screen fades to black. The cheetah slender, almost fragile, roams the Masai Mara in Kenya. It lacks the bulk of a lion. It lacks the crushing jaws of a leopard. Yet it carries a weapon no other predator can match. Pure speed. How can such a delicate frame transform into the fastest land animal on Earth? At dawn on the Serengeti plains of northern Tanzania, the first light spreads across an endless ocean of golden grass. Mist lingers over the banks of the Grumeti River, where herds of Thompson's gazelles gather to drink. The scene looks calm, yet danger waits in silence. Hidden low in the grass, a slender shadow fixes its eyes on a target. The cheetah, the hunter of speed. Unlike lions that vanish into tall grass, or leopards that perch high in the acacia trees, the cheetah must gamble on open ground. Its body has been shaped by evolution into a weapon built for speed. A long, flexible spine like a spring, light bones, slim legs, a tail that works like a rudder, and an oversized chest to house powerful lungs and a racing heart. Every detail serves one purpose: acceleration. This is the fastest land animal on Earth, capable of breaking 100 kilometers an hour. Yet that burst lasts less than a minute. Beyond that, the body overheats and the engine fails. This female has been watching the gazelles since sunrise. She singles out a young one straying from its mother. Her chest rises, then explosion. In just 3 seconds, she reaches the velocity of a sports car at full throttle. Each stride covers 7 meters. Air rips past her body, legs strike the earth like drums. The gazelle veers left, then right. The cheetah's tail whips like a rudder, correcting each turn. Then, the strike, claws latch, a body crashes to the dust. In an instant, the chase is over, but triumph is fleeting. Her heart pounds over 200 beats a minute. Heat floods her muscles. She collapses beside the kill, gasping. And at that moment, the scavengers arrive. 3 hyenas lumber out from the riverbank, circling, laughing. Their strength and numbers overwhelm her. Within minutes, the gazelle is theirs. For the cheetah, speed wins the hunt, but rarely the meal. On these plains, half of all successful chases end in theft. Across the border, in Kenya's Masai Mara, a different story unfolds. 3 male cheetahs form a coalition, often brothers from the same litter. Unlike solitary females, they hunt together, turning weakness into strategy. Their target today, a strong adult gazelle. The chase erupts. One drives the herd, another cuts the angle, and the third delivers the final blow. Dust explodes, hooves scatter. Within seconds, victory. This time the meal belongs to them. Cooperation, rare among big cats, has tipped the balance. Back in the Serengeti, near the edge of the Ngorongoro Reserve, a mother cheetah walks with her 3 cubs, barely 8 weeks old. They tumble through the grass, still clueless about the hunt. For her, every step is survival and a lesson. She picks a smaller prey to demonstrate. Stalk, burst, strike. These moments will decide their future. Are brutal. Up to 70% of cubs die in their first year, taken by lions, hyenas, even eagles. Those who survive carry the legacy of speed. Yet speed is always a gamble. Near the Mara River one evening, another female makes the wrong choice, an adult gazelle too strong. The chase drags on beyond a minute. Her stride falters, her lungs scream, her body overheats. She stumbles, collapses, gasping in the dust. The limits of biology revealed, unmatched velocity, but no endurance. That is the price of extreme evolution. As the sun dips behind the acacias, the Serengeti turns crimson. This is the golden hour for cheetahs when lions are still hidden and hyenas have not yet gathered. They rarely hunt by night. Their eyes cannot pierce the darkness like true nocturnal hunters. Instead, they master timing, choosing the narrow window when the plains are theirs alone. The cheetah will never rule the savannah, but it remains essential. By taking the young, the weak, it keeps the herds healthy, the ecosystem in balance. Its fragile presence is proof that survival does not always belong to the strongest. Sometimes it belongs to the swiftest. In the fading light, a mother and her cubs vanish into the tall grass of the Serengeti. The wind swallows their tracks, and one question lingers. In a world ruled by power and dominance, will speed alone be enough to secure their future?